Konnichiwa and welcome to the International Masters of Formula R 2.0 from the very dank Okayama Circuit in the Japanese countryside. I am Campbell and I am joined by Nick as always.
Hello there.
And as you can see from the sky, it is quite wet here for our penultimate event, rounds 13 and 14. We've come from America and we're in Brazil next time, but a quick trip over the Pacific in the meantime.
What everyone likes to see. One round before, we're going to have probably a crazy race ahead of us.
Yes, this is a map of the circuit. It is not the longest track, but it's very narrow, and despite what some of these streets might lead you to believe, it is extremely difficult to overtake here.
Yes, it's just over 2 miles long, so really do not read too much into the scale of that track map.
No, this is not like Road America. In the championships, Blairy leads by 8 points from Kimster. Ollie K still have a mathematical chance. Jay Coops and P.I. James quite well behind, and of course Jay Coops out of this season.
And those are all the points. Any more points they will add straight on. Most people have missed one race. I think
Yes.
only Dan Thorne and AJ OK have been at every round.
And I think everyone has had more than 2 non-points finishes, even if they made every race. As you can see, the defenders lead the teams championship, and Monolith are within touching distance of the independents. I think they only need 2 third places here to get that. Well, there are some more. This is a Norminator in the Concrete Motorsports car, making his debut in Race 07. Craigo likewise, who's taken Cyber Samurai's place at Argo Sport. And Tom Brooks making his debut in Really Rubbish Racing for Tropico.
Yeah, we've seen a few drivers of Tropico, but it's good to see him still going.
And in the independents, we've seen Blairy, in Blair 1, have replaced Danger Dave with Shouty.
Shouty is a formidable RRR legend, so really
Yes.
excited to see him on the grid.
And Ollie K's pole lap round this tight and twisty Okayama circuit. Would you like to take us round?
Yeah, so we see him taking the first corner there very smoothly. That is the key to a good lap time around here. Don't be too aggressive, don't take too many liberties with curbs, especially now we're in the damp conditions.
Quite.
Just, if you are going to take a bit of curb, just kissing it lightly here as we see Ollie K, not using it to accelerate across, just to square the corner up a little and shorten the distance as much as you can. You can see here, we're onto the longer straight already, which is, as we said, not very good for overtaking in the race, so this pole lap you'd feel is quite important for him.
It's
more than usual.
Not as hard to overtake as somewhere like Vara, but still a difficult challenge to get past.
A lot of the difficulties as well is that these aren't very slow corners that the long straights lead into, so the braking zones aren't exactly huge.
No, indeed not. But they are slow enough that it can be challenging to get the power down enough without spinning the car around, especially as the corner we're just coming to.
Yeah, see Ollie K make his first mistake there, just missing the apex a little bit again here, but he's not losing too much time because of the slightly banked nature of these corners. You can take the less than seemingly perfect line. Just a little kiss on the apex there to set him up for the last corner. Very controlled with the throttle, no wheel spin whatsoever. Tiny bit on the grass, but nothing to hinder him, and that is his pole lap, just under 1.5 minutes.
Yes, a very fast lap for the conditions as they start their formation lap. As you can see, Kimster coming out second ahead of one of the offenders' cars. We'll see the grid in a moment.
You can see it's already beginning to rain quite heavily. You can see the spray they're kicking up. To the drivers, of course, it will look like the worst monsoon you've ever seen in your life.
Yes. A bumper grid after the reduced field we saw at Road America. We have 20 cars making the start of this race.
I think that is a record size, is it not?
I believe so. We had 20 at Zolder last season for the final race, and I think it's a record for this season, as Ollie K slows enough to let Kimster through. A bit of a misunderstanding there, and you can just see from the back of Ollie K's car how much spray there is, and when they're running at full speed towards the end of that straight in the race, it'll be very challenging.
Kimster getting it almost all wrong there and narrowly missing Ollie K on the formation lap.
So, Mr. Flobadov is in 3rd, Blairy 4th, P.I. James 5th, MDSP 6th. These 6 likely to run away at the front. As you can see, there's a large gap by Junior in 7th. Lynn and Joe Speed just make the top 10 in 9th and 10th, but over 2 seconds off pole.
Well, they say rain's a great equaliser, but in the pole time, the lap times from qualifying, they're still as spread out as ever.
And the midfield very tight, all down to Normandy turned 15th, from 8th to 15th, all separated by less than a second. Bukoy in 16th. Mastron rounds out the top 20. And Tom Brooks in his debut getting on to 19th, and Race Pro is 21st on the grid.
No surprise there, Race Pro has struggled with these cars, and in these slippery conditions you'd expect him to have even more troubles.
Yes, but seeing as here he's made pretty much every race this season, all he really needs to do is finish these races to take the Independence crown, which was his stated aim for the season, even though MDSP and for this race Shouty are his competition.
So okay, just getting to his grid box, trying to find out the right place where he can stop. As they all line up behind, he's slightly pointed already at Kimsey, you can see, so he's anticipating an attack off the line.
Needs to be careful, both of them, that they don't get too much wheel spin off the line, which can definitely slow you down, and it's very easy to do in these conditions.
Yes, it's going to be a very interesting start, which we'll come up to very shortly. We're just waiting for the lights.
Just waiting for the last cars to get into position. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights are on. They're off and they're away.
And Kim's has made a good start, but Olike has just enough to cover him off as the field goes into its usual side-by-side through the first corner.
Fairly
MDSP
fast.
there is up to 4th.
Look like it. And they've all just about made it. Oh no, PY James is off and into the barriers. Not too hard a hit, and he should get going again. And Croffy spun and Mastron
Oh,
heavily into the wall along with one of the Argo Sport cars. I believe that's Craig. Oh,
I think that is Craig Owen. Not a great start to his first race here, but Olike leading away from Kimsa. They're very close to each other.
yes, they're very close to getting. I think that's Jims has got up to 4th, being challenged by MDSP down the straight. Oh, and Tom Brooks has gone round and is narrowly avoided by. They're making a bit of a mess of doing a spin turn. He gets going in the end.
Lucky to be avoided by everyone there, but thankfully he is.
Strange place to spin about halfway down the straight as MDSP makes a move on Jims and was also.
Never shouting Dan Thorne.
That's an old rivalry. Goes back to almost the very foundations of the club, and Bukoy joining in as well.
I think Bukoy's got inside line then. Dan Thorne just on the rally crossing on the grass as the Independables teammate. Tommy gets in there, but it's touched out wide.
Keeps it out the wall, and he will get away again, but. Oof!
Oh!
Got the power just a bit too much there. And we have Croffy challenging, I believe that's Craigo. And you see the spray as someone slides off the track and ahead.
And Craigo, having his own accident ahead.
Yes, luckily there's plenty of runoff around most of the likely impact zones of this track, though not all.
PY James trying to come back through the field here now on Dan Thorne, and he has the position.
Yes, it was all quite easy there. PY James, though, we would expect to be running at or near the front, so it's not a surprise he's able to siphon through the field at this stage.
Bukoy just shadowing Shouty there, who misses the apex, and that allows him through.
There's a good chance for Shouty to fight back through the next corner, as indeed he does, and retains the position.
And lurking behind him now is PY James, who wants to make up as much ground as he can as quickly as possible.
He's alongside, there's a slight...
Just slightly behind. He would do well just to tuck in and see what happens here. He doesn't want to make any silly lunges whilst Bukoy is concentrating ahead on Shouty.
As you said, you'll want to make as much progress through the race at this stage before he loses too much ground on the front runners.
Just calm down a little bit here now.
So everyone's keeping just about in the track.
PY James not making up much ground. Obviously, wet conditions, the slipstream effect isn't as great as you'd see, but he makes it. Looks like he was going to make a little late opportunity there, but thought better of it.
Bukoy just seemed to miss the apex a little, and PY James is undoubtedly quite a lot faster at this stage, as you might expect, as Bukoy, especially since he's missed a few races, is perhaps a little ring rusty.
Have to be so careful when people miss the apex like that, because you never know if they're just going to come back down again on you, and that'll be your race over.
Here's PY James's opportunity. Got a much better run out of the corner than Bukoy, and he's made the pass before to get down to the next corner.
Bukoy has a little look around the outside just to see if he can make it back. He's going to try and switch back, you'd feel, but PY James is just too much for him. He keeps the position.
These corners are cambered though, so it is definitely possible to go around the outside of that corner and not lose too much position. Or not.
Yes, had it stayed dry, I think we would have seen a lot more people sticking around the outside. Of course, later in the race, a lot of rubbish will build up on that side, so it probably will be more possible to stick with someone around the outside of those corners.
Ooh, we've got it going very wide indeed there. And does that give, I think it's Tommy behind.
Shouty drifting almost through that corner, as we've come to expect from him.
He's right behind Joe Speed, and Lynn's further down the road.
This is the battle for the lower regions, the top 10. I think it's just settled down a little now.
Yes, everyone's doing a very good job keeping the cars on the track. We saw last time we had a wet race at Anderstorf in the Formula BMWs, there were cars spinning left, right and centre throughout the race, whereas now we've got, it's all quite calm, everyone's keeping it under control. I think that's down to the fact that it's just that much lighter. Rain's Shouty misses the apex.
Looked like he braked right on the white line, and of course in the wet conditions that is slippery territory.
We actually saw in qualifying a couple of drivers trying out running on slicks, and they were definitely slower, but it wasn't that much slower, much to the surprise of many people.
PY James has got ahead of him in that little incident, and now he's going to challenge Joe Speed. Joe Speed just covers off the apex there, but PY James is going to shadow him through the next corner, just trying to force him into little mistakes, see if there's any way he can now make an attack into this next corner. But it's just a little bit too behind to make any real attempt, and wisely decides not to lunge down the inside, even though Joe Speed is missing all these apeces due to these wet conditions.
You can make a lunge at that corner you just saw him going through, but there's not much of a braking zone because it's quite a slow part of the track, so you really need to be right alongside to make a move stick. But we could see towards the end of the race.
Looked like Shouty was just defending there. I think he has kept that position as now PY James ducks out of the slipstream, and
he has a run, but Joe Speed defends.
And there's one of the independables that will be Tommy, we think, on Bukoy.
No, I think it's Dan Thorne, but he's run wide onto the grass and just about keeps it together. Replay. Ooh, breaks for two wheels in the grass.
Now Bukoy is on the back of one of the Tropico cars.
I believe this is actually AJOK.
Oh, AJOK, my apologies.
Bukoy, of course, with the boo motif on his helmet.
So this will be Jimsy is harrying here for position.
Yes, Jimsy, another excellent start. We've seen it a few times, Jimsy. Oh, and Joe Speed gets into PY James.
And that has allowed Shouty to have a little attack, but he's going to go around the outside, and oh, it just makes the position.
Oh, but he's made a mistake.
Oh no!
Cuts across the grass, but it loses him enough momentum to allow PY James through, but he might fancy a look back. It's a brave move there, and indeed it has not worked out for him at all.
Way too much. Way too late on the brakes.
Yes, definitely. As that's Lynn recovering from...
Has he got some kind of... Oh, it looked like he might have had a puncture there, but he doesn't.
We might well see a replay, possibly just a half spin as he onto the grass. But he was running about 7th place, so that's dropped him several places.
And he is now under danger from PY James.
He is indeed. James.
He goes defensive so early, he's going to keep the inside line, which is probably the most sensible thing to do. See what happened to him.
Oh, just a bit too much speed, and the car goes into half spin.
And we see...
Slightly further.
Oh, this is live, so Lynn's chopped off PY James there, defending the position.
And is attacking Joe Speed up ahead, I believe. Or no, is it? No, it's Bukoy.
I think it's getting a little on edge.
Yes, that's AJOK getting onto the grass, but he survives and might have a run at Jim's, and Oh, Lynn, I think, just missed his braking point there. Fortunately, doesn't run into the back of Bukoy, but another mistake in half a lap there for him. That's not what he wanted to be doing.
No, it just seems he caught himself on the braking zone as here we come, AJ OK. Takes 6th position away from Jim's.
Yep. Textbook movement, demonstrating that you can overtake there. AJ OK has gone well in the West in previous events, and we saw it wasn't televised, but at the Birmingham the Real Rubber Super Prix at the Birmingham track, AJ OK looked like he might win that race before he had a problem in the pits.
Yes, AJ OK, as we have seen in the series, likes to run with maximum downforce, which when you're in the wet does help. So even though you might think he's a driver who doesn't like conditions where the car is all squibbly, because of his setup choice he actually does better than people you might think would actually be better suited to the conditions, like Dan Thornton, who we've seen made quite a few mistakes already.
Indeed. Jim's hasn't given up in this position. He's still challenging. You feel that AJ OK is just a little bit faster and he'll be able to pull away, as PY James gets a much better run compared to Bukoy, and he should make this move stick as they go down the back straight, and indeed he has.
Yeah, he's made the move before, even halfway down the straight. And Bukoy just has a little lunge. Ooh. That was not going to work, but good to see that there wasn't anything worse coming out of that, like a puncture or broken front wing.
Yeah, sir, and thankfully both cars are still pointing in the right direction, but...
Shouty, woo!
And...
Lynn in the barrier.
Yes, seemed to hit the barrier at about 5 miles an hour there. He should have got away with that, but another mistake for him as he gets running again.
I don't have much experience in these kinds of cars. I mean, have you heard anything from drivers about if the differentials make any kind of difference in applying the throttle?
They certainly make a difference, maybe not as much as with some cars. So for example the BMW, which that team Kaibutsu ran last season, was rear-wheel drive, and the only rear-wheel drive car in the field, and its differential was critically important to its stability. And I get the impression that it's not as important for these cars, but you can certainly find time if you have it set up correctly. Obviously they set it up differently for the wet conditions compared to the dry conditions.
Shouty making his way past Dan Thorne.
And Joe Speed makes a mistake just enough to allow P.I. James through, and that getting the power will allow Bukoy a very good run down the straight.
And they're going to go side by side, so we're going to see them who's going to have the correct line for this corner. Of course, Joe Speed can hang around the outside if he so wishes. It looks like he's going to have to stay around the long way, but he will have a line for the next corner, and I think he's got just enough to cover over Bukoy.
Bukoy's not giving up on it though, but just gets onto the curb enough that he has to back out. Joe Speed defending quite forcefully there, and Bukoy fancy a run down, lunges, and that should be that, and indeed it is.
The corner is quite reminiscent of the old turn at the back straight in Estoril before they reprofiled the corner for single-seater races. You can dive down in with the uphill shortening the braking zone. Indeed you can.
We're seeing once again, it's the midfield battle that's the most interesting to watch. You've barely seen as Dan Thorne finds the gravel but continues on his way. We have barely seen the top 5 or 6 who have been running on their own and focusing also on the battle for the lower points, and Tommy having a very wild spin and nearly catches Norman Acer. Tommy definitely struggling in these conditions, as he's just demonstrating now as Race Pro and Masteron both go past.
Oh no.
Making a bit of a mess of that spin turn, really.
He decides to go around the other way now. Oh, has he just stopped?
He's maybe got a problem with the car. Is
he beached or just plain given up, maybe?
And that was very close indeed.
And Tommy's got to go in there again, we can see.
Yeah, but he's been lapped in the meantime by Ollie K, and will be lapped by Kim Sturt.
Good to see him keep going and not just leave his car there and walk away.
Indeed. No sense causing any more work for the marshals.
And you never know what could happen. There might be a point in there at the end of it for him.
Well, if this midfield battle gets angry and destructive, you never know.
Shouted there with his famous Soviet Union helmet.
Yes, he seems to have a fascination for Soviet-era aeroplanes. And because we see Aeroflot on the side of his car, a Russian flag carrier.
Yes, his car reminiscent of the old Leighton House livery, which he also seems to have some kind of strange fascination with.
Well, he did spend a lot of time driving for Goteki House, another really rubbish racing series, so it's a natural association for him to make. Jim's has got him ahead of AJOK again at some point.
AJOK,
Well,
you can see all the spray coming there. It's not too bad.
no, you can still see through it. I think missed by the camera as AJOK has probably made a mistake and allowed Jim Foods to nudge up the back there, and PY James is into this battle too.
PY James, he could have had a shot at the championship, but his season has just been a story of spins and people getting into him at the wrong moment.
Yes, he undoubtedly, him and Mr. Flobador do definitely have the pace to. Yeah, the defenders, PY James and Mr. Flobador, do have the pace to mount a championship challenge, but they've just been beset by mechanical problems and being caught up in their own and other people's accidents. So they've never really been able to demonstrate that pace over the course of a season. They're hoping for better next season.
Good to see Conquest come back to really rubbish racing. It has been some time since we've seen them.
Yes, Norminator has started a few races in the past, but not that many in the green and white cars. And this is him chasing Croffey and
Is that Crago?
I believe so, in the Argo Sport. I think recovering from a spin and slips down to 15. None of these cars you feel are particularly likely to get it. Oh, yes, she's just got
Too greedy on the throttle.
indeed. I get this feeling that these cars will be unlikely to score points this weekend. And of course, the drivers making their debut, it's talk about being thrown into the deep end.
Certainly. But it's a good way to get experience, and you know, every champion, race winner, point scorer, they all start somewhere at the back of the grid.
They do indeed, and we've seen plenty of drivers come from, if not the back, certainly the lower midfield to challenge, like PY James did that, and Mr. Vlogdog's done that over the course of between one season and another. So
Sneaking up a little bit there on AJK, and he has the position.
we just forced AJOK into a couple mistakes too many and pounced, but gets out of shape into the penultimate corner. Which might give AJOK a run down the back straight, but I think he's just pulled out a big enough gap.
This is the beauty of a rain-affected race. Maybe in the dry we would have seen a lot more processional, but because of the slippery nature of the corners, you can get a lot of overtaking in the non-traditional parts of the circuit.
Yes, because all it takes is one very slight mistake and you lose momentum.
Shout is up to 9th, but Joe Speed is fighting back, and I think he has just a nose ahead of the Leighton House driver. Blair 1 driver, sorry.
That livery is very good, isn't it?
Please don't sue us, even though you don't exist anymore. I'm sure somebody has the rights to your name. Oh!
Joe Speed. I think Shouty turned in, Joe Speed understeered into him.
Hopefully Joe Speed will wait up for him, and he has done.
That's what we like to see, and that allows Dan Thorne.
AJK already took the position from him.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, that was Bukoy.
Yes, in the power car. It's Ollie K,
Ollie K.
sixth fastest lap, 1 minute 30.1, which is about second off pole, but at this stage of the race, 13 laps in, is quite impressive. Though tyre wear, the tyres never really get up to temperature in these conditions, even the wets, and so the tyre wear is not as great as it could have been.
No, I mean, they can overheat in the wet, but if that was the case, you really would see them in a heap of trouble.
Yes, I think the rain is constant enough to keep the track consistently wet.
Yeah, it's cool enough so degradation is not an issue, and of course they're not taking their corners fast enough for wear to be an issue, so
No,
we will see some pretty consistent times as the fuel comes down.
It's not like Curitiba next week, where the tyre wear will be a significant problem for some cars.
PY James now.
Nearly getting into the back of Jim's, and that's given AJOK the opportunity to get past, which he has taken.
It took him quite a few laps to get ahead of AJOK, now he's got to do it all over again.
Such as, is that somebody in gravel up ahead?
Looks like we only saw a brief flash of them.
It is, it's one of the seniors, I think it's Master Wolf. Just looking at the helmet.
Another driver who hasn't been too happy in this class of car.
No, he had a better run. Of course, he did have the 5th place at Road America last time out, but that was largely due to attrition. It gave the senior motorsport team a few points cushion over Kaibutsu, their nearest championship rivals.
We've seen an Argo Sport Independables battle here.
Yes, Lynn's not far behind, and he might well join this battle before too long.
He's done well to recover from his earlier spin.
Since I think that's Tom Brooks getting out of the way and making his debut, and as you said earlier, being thrown into the deep end.
Always good to make friends early on in your really rubbish racing career, so
you don't want to get in the way of a battle like this, certainly.
No.
Especially
there's plenty of time to make enemies when you're fighting for victories.
Yes. Lynn getting very close to Dan Thorne now.
We've seen from Lynn, he's a very consistent kind of driver. He can spin, but once he has done, he seems to pick himself up, and his lap times are usually very unerratic.
Yes, we haven't seen terribly much of him this season, just being fairly anonymous in the midfield. And having another race in the fringes of the points this time out.
Picking up the throttle there very nicely.
This isn't the type of car, and definitely not the conditions to be stamping on the throttle at all.
Dan Thorne makes the move.
He does.
Easy. Comes back from... Can go around the outside and still, but he keeps ahead of Joe Speed just... Oh no, he's giving him a little bit too much room maybe, but covering him off, and now Lynn's got a good opportunity here.
And makes the lunge. Makes it stick as well. Came from quite a long way back there.
Looked like he might have slowed down just a little bit too much, but Joe Speed had too far to go around the outside, so he manages to keep the position.
Joe Speed loses 2 places in very quick succession there. Such as the midfield battle in this series, as Lynn gets a bit out of shape and coming out the final corner.
Steps out a bit, but I don't think Joe Speed is going to be able to capitalise on that.
No, he kept momentum up just enough.
And now Lynn will be setting his sights on
Dan
Dan Thorne. Has his own little
well
moment.
Out of shape and is on the grass and loses 2 places just like Joe Speed did.
Yeah, you can't lose 1 position here. You have to gain 1 and lose 2.
Yes, there's always a downside.
Seems like you're forever battling, and then you end up 1 position ahead of where you started.
This is
a replay for Tommy. It just whoa!
Is that stuck?
Complete brake failure.
Or goodness me! I think it was more stuck throttle. But a very sizable accident there. Hopefully he'll make it out for the next race.
I think a cup of tea and a new pair of underwear.
Definitely.
Time for the next race. Very bizarre, we've never seen anything like that before.
Indeed we have not. And behind... it looked like Joe Speed was going to run very, very wide indeed, but he seemed to make the apex. And Lynn's now getting quite close to Bukoy ahead, so for what I would believe will be the last points position, and of course every point counts at this stage of the season, and when the midfield battle is this close.
So this is pretty much all the action we have seen.
Yes.
We're going to see.
Yes,
Rather in the closing stage of the race.
We've been following this battle, Dan Thorne, Joe Speedlin and Vukoy and Shouty, pretty much the entire race, but getting a little close up ahead. Kimster in second is being harassed by Mr. Flobodov. The offenders and defenders are technically sister teams, but you get the impression that your relations aren't the best.
No, well, sibling rivalry, certainly.
Certainly, at the very least. And Shouty, oh, well out of shape. And... gets kind of straightened up by Lynn there, but I'm sure Lynn will have had a bit of a fright in that.
And we are on the final lap already.
We are.
It's quite flown by with a lot of battles around the midfield.
And we're about to get one near the front as well. Mr. Fodder will, with no championship to fight for, Mr. Fodder will be willing to presumably take more risks than Kimster. Kimster might just... We won't give up without a fight because Ollie K is still leading the race and Kimster will be keen to not let him back into the championship fight.
Yes, he's got somewhat of a buffer, but he doesn't want to give away too many points, otherwise you never know what might happen to you in the final round and suddenly you've let the championship in.
Blairy, of course, not making the start due to technical problems after a great qualifying, and Kimster will be looking to capitalise as much as possible on that. Slobodov not going to let him get away easily, but I think Kimster should just about have it covered as Ollie K, who we have not seen all race, comes through to win. And in the background it looks like Kimster's just holding on from Mr. Flobodov.
So welcome sight, 3 different cars on the podium.
Indeed.
Got used to seeing both defenders' cars there. Token appearance by one other car.
And Jims is doggedly holding on from AGOK. AGOK lining him up. Layton doesn't quite make it stick, and that's really the last serious overtaking.
Jims has missed the apex though, so AJK's got a slim chance through these corners here.
Off camber, it's difficult to accelerate ahead of the car in front, and indeed we're seeing. So Jim's coming home unless
he does something extremely stupid, but he's kept it on the straight and narrow.
Jim's coming home to finish a very strong 6th place ahead of AJOK in 7th. PY James just out, missing out in 8th, but he will get reverse grid pole. Shouty, out the top 10, having another spin. He's now 13th. That, I believe he'll drop to 14th. But oh no, well, he was overtaken by Mastron Wolf, who has now spun himself. So 13th for Shouty and 14th for Norminator. A reasonable debut for those two, although Shouty will have hoped to have gotten the points.
Yeah, just too many spins. The inexperience with the series showing.
Yes.
Be fast, but you've got to learn the ropes.
And Ollie K was the race winner in 25 minutes and 43 seconds, an average speed of 90 miles an hour, which in these conditions is fairly impressive.
That would have been one of the scariest 90 miles per hour of his life.
Yes. And the results, as we see, only less than 0.2 of a second between Kimster and Flobodov, and also less than a tenth between Jims and AGOK in 6th and 7th. Bukoy and Lynn were rounding out the top 10, and they get the last 2 points positions, but it's PY James on reverse grid pole. Tommy WTF won the only retirement, and several lapped cars, with Tom Brooks and Mastron Wolf 2 laps down after various struggles. Dan Thorne last runners in the lead lap, 1 minute 40 seconds behind. And Blairy was a DNS, a disconnection.
It's a shame. Hope he can make the next race, otherwise that really will put pay to his championship chances.
And just see, it was perhaps not as messy as we might have expected a wet race to be, but there were still plenty of mistakes to go round, and people making a mess of their spin turns and just sometimes even navigating the track, but very good battles up and down the field we saw.
Yes, we might have seen quite a lot of spins, but with these cars in these conditions, that is no shame on the drivers.
Indeed not.
It's a lot more difficult than it looks.
It is. These cars can have your head at any time, and especially when it's as slippery as it was today. And of course we're not finished yet, because there's another race to come with PY James on reverse grid pole. Another 25 minutes of Okayama coming up, and we hope to see you then.
Scary question about Tommy, but we're hearing that he is okay.
And the car, despite the scale of that accident, was remarkably able to be fixed for race 2. We're hearing.
Well, we did see most of the mistakes and spins come from battle, so with the reverse grid we should be in for an extremely eventful second race.
Hopefully so. We hope to see you then.